Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about Yours Cruelly, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark by Cassandra Peterson. And this is from, what does that say? Hatchet Books. There you go. You can see that. And this is, obviously, the memoirs of Cassandra Peterson, the woman who is Elvira, the horror hostess with the mostest. Wow, what do I say about this? Have you ever seen Forrest Gump? The movie Forrest Gump? This is the Forrest Gump of memoirs of a Kansas girl who became a horror host. This book is insane. It starts with the great line. Let's see. I'm just going to jump right in. Well, there's a prologue. Kind of a cold open. Where is it? I just love... But when we get to chapter 1, I was born at a very early age. An age that was too young to have a sense of good judgment. I love that. Hilarious. But we do start with essentially a prologue that's a cold open, which is when the immediate events when Cassandra Peterson got the call about this local LA TV station looking for a horror hostess. And then we jump back to when she was born. And then we just get into the craziness. We get her childhood, her family, her relationship with her mother and her father, and siblings and other relatives, and then we just get into how at 14, 15 years old, she's meeting rock stars, and I'm trying not to give any details away. And then at 17, when she becomes I don't know, I don't think this is a spoiler, 17, becomes a Vegas showgirl. And then the coincidences, the events that are it's Forrest Gump. She's living her life. She's trying to achieve her dreams. And yet, I could understand once she's Elvira, she's living in LA, she's on television. I can understand she's meeting celebrities. But at 14 and then at 17 as a Vegas showgirl, and these things just keep happening. And she's, don't want to give things away, but just meeting people and suddenly being in movies as a young adult just because of coincidence. And just she's not name dropping. She's just telling her story. There just happen to be a lot of famous names. And it's a roller coaster. She has wonderful things happening to her. She has horrible things happening to her, which essentially is life. And so there are some horrifying things in here that happen to a woman, especially, let's say, a young woman in Las Vegas and other parts of the world. She was all over the place. Like, the stuff that happened before she was Elvira is insanity. What can I say without giving it away? All right, I'm going to say this. The boyfriend that lived in a treehouse. Everything surrounding that. Insane. Just the people she met and the circumstances under which she met them are crazy. I'm trying to think of, I need a thesaurus so that I can have synonyms for crazy or insane, because I'm just going to keep saying that. So, I mean, is there anybody out there who doesn't know who Elvira is? Host of the movie Macabre, I believe. So, she's a horror host. They show old horror movies, typically old, and there's little skits and jokes and things at the commercial breaks. And so she started local in LA, and then it became a phenomenon. And all of that's in here as well. Excuse me. And she talks about, the business and the ups and downs of that. And it's just crazy. It's wild. I've read quite a few, I mean, not a huge amount, but I've read a small amount of memoirs and autobiographies. And of course, they're typically, if it's well written, if it's an interesting person, it makes for an interesting story. But this has got to be the craziest one that I have read. As I said, just the Forrest Gumpness of it all is wild. And this woman, I don't know how recent this cover photo is, but she is 70 now. She just, a few weeks ago as of this recording, had her 40th anniversary, Elvira's 40th anniversary special on Shudder. And they showed her first movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I believe it's just the name of the first movie. And I don't remember the other movie she showed, but so she's not just done the horror host thing. She's been a mascot, for lack of a better term, for different products. That's a horrible term to use in this particular instance, but I can't think of a better term at the moment. And she's made 2 movies. She's been in, as Cassandra Peterson and as Elvira, been in tons of other things. She appeared, like her first appearance on The Tonight Show, she was just Cassandra Peterson, I believe. Her subsequent appearances, I believe she was Elvira. And it's just, it's wild. It is a crazy story. Sometimes I was cheering for her. Sometimes I was heartbroken for her. It's there are revelations, things that most people didn't know. There's one thing in particular that's in here that I believe essentially, aside from really close family and friends, is the first time she made it public. There may be more than one thing, but she explicitly states, I believe, that this is, for this thing, that this is the first time it's been made public. Which is something, when this book came out, which was not that long ago, again, as of this recording, there's this particular thing is what I was seeing everywhere in my social media circles. Everybody was talking about this. And then there was one other thing that actually, surprisingly, someone at work, and nobody at work reads, but somebody at work had apparently heard this other thing somewhere, which was shocking. And I was like, really? That's not what I'm hearing. That's not the thing that all the people in my social circles are talking about. See, and I'm beating around the bush because I don't want to tell you. So, yeah, again, like, there's no plot. The plot is a young girl from Kansas grows up to be Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh, it's well written. It's funny. It has, well, in parts. I mean, some of it's not funny at all. But it does have, throughout, that sort of snarky Elvira vibe to it. But it's not, like, Elvira's got kind of a Valley Girl thing going on. And it's not that. It's not written in that vein. But it does have the sort of the bad puns occasionally and the little asides and a little snarkiness. But it is well written. It flows. I read it relatively quickly considering my schedule. So, excuse me. I gave it on Goodreads 4 out of 5. I would have given it 4.5 if that were possible on Goodreads, but I decided not to round up in this case because 5 it was amazing, I think. And while it is a crazy story, maybe it's my bias when it comes to just memoirs and autobiographies. Not that I have I prefer fiction. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any type of sense here, but I gave it 4 out of 5 instead of rounding up to 5. But it is one of the most interesting memoirs that I've ever read. So there you go. And that brings me to my question for this video, which is, whose memoir or autobiography would you be most interested in reading? And off the top of my head, I have to say Alice Cooper. I don't know if there's one out there. I've never heard mention of one. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But, yeah, I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. And so I would love to read his version of his story. You know, becoming a rock star, going through rehab, becoming a Christian. I don't know if he's always been a Christian or if he was a born-again Christian. I do know, though, that, or I believe anyway, that, religion is a big part of his life now. He's opened a restaurant. He loves golf. I think of it as a comeback when Constrictor came out. I think there's a period where I was not hearing any of his music on the radio, any of the new stuff. And I don't think anyone but hardcore fans like me, I had all the stuff, I just wasn't hearing it anywhere. But a period where people weren't aware that he was still putting out music. I could be completely wrong about that, but then Constrictor came out, and I think that put him back on the radar for the general public. And so, yeah, I would love to read about the ups and downs of his career and just about the man himself. So Alice Cooper would be my choice. What about you? And can someone please explain to me the difference between a memoir and an autobiography? I have looked this up multiple times, and I still don't know what the difference is. If there's even a difference, or they're just two words for the same thing. Because I've read books that say autobiography, and I've read books like this one that say memoir. So, can someone explain to me if there's a difference and what it might be? All right, that is it. I highly recommend, if you're interested in autobiographies or memoirs in general, this is one to read. And of course, if you're an Elvira fan, this is absolutely one to read. It is a roller coaster of a book. She's had an amazing life. And just, again, the Forrest Gumpiness of it is crazy. So there you go. Man, there's just so many. Like, I was driving the people who were crazy. Every day I'd come in and just talk about the stuff that I had just read the previous night and the names and the things that happened and everything. Just, yeah. Read it. It's good. You know what? I'm thinking about it. I might have to change my rating on Goodreads. I might have to change it to a 5. Because this really is... Yeah. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm making the call right here. I'm changing my rating. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. There you go. Maybe I was half asleep when I rated it. It was earlier today. So there you have it. Let's see. I've reviewed it. I've asked a question. So I guess I'm done, except for all the stuff that I have to do at the end. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, just put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K. ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got for you today. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.